This segment of the news is brought to you by Smitty's Cards and Coins. Would you like to know what your collectibles are worth? Come by 2281 Postal Road, Unit 4, across from the post office.
Here's Eunette Gentry with this week's court report.
In this week's court report, an area woman charged with domestic battery back in September 2013, who was also previously charged with unlawful use of a controlled substance in June 2013, and who was sentenced in district court in 2015 by being placed in the diversion program with a 3-year probation term, was recently back in court for a status check mental health treatment investigation proceeding after 5 scheduled probation violation hearings. Tina Louise Banks has an appointment scheduled with a doctor Friday regarding her competency. During the defendant's most recent court appearance, Banks appeared while in custody, and the court admonished her in regards to this being her 3rd probation violation and noted that each violation was for drug use. The court also encourages the defendant to get into the mental health court and continued this matter to July 21st for another status check mental health court proceeding. A local man also charged with unlawful use of a controlled substance following his arrest has now been sentenced. The court sentenced Jacob Hardy to a total of $238 in fees and 19 to 48 months suspended with 5 years probation with all the special terms and conditions, including having the defendant complete his current drug treatment program and then being placed in the drug court program. The court also stated that Hardy has 21 days credit for time served. Hardy was taken into custody after an NCSO officer received a call of a suspicious person at a Pahrump home. Witnesses say Hardy was banging on the resident's door and was not making sense regarding what he was talking about. When an officer arrived, Hardy was being held down on the ground by the neighbor of the victim. The officer says Hardy displayed signs of being under the influence of a controlled substance like red watery eyes, confusion, and being very paranoid, believing that someone was after him. Hardy even told police that was his reason for contacting his neighbors. Hardy did not answer police, though, when he was directly asked if he was under the influence at that time, but did explain that he had previously been arrested for being under the influence of a controlled substance. Hardy's blood was subsequently drawn and sent for laboratory analysis. Also recently sentenced in court, the area man charged with indecent or obscene exposure after exposing his genitalia, masturbating, and following young females around Walmart. Matthew Inslee was sentenced to 364 days in jail, suspended with 3 years probation with all the special terms and conditions, and a total of $28 in court fees plus $1,000 for his evaluation report. Inslee did receive 65 days credit for time served, but the court held the defendant in contempt of court for 25 days for lying to the court. Inslee's drug test came back negative the day of his sentencing, following him testing positive for alcohol on a previous court date. Inslee was remanded into custody after he apologized for his actions. This has been your court report. I'm Eunette Gentry for News 46.
Thanks so much, Eunette. Angela Miles talks about the newly proposed health care bill in today's Business First Brief.
Topping our news, now that the Senate has released its health care bill that was written behind closed doors, investors are taking a shot at health care stocks as well as hospital stocks such as Tenet Healthcare. The majority leader, Mitch McConnell, wants a vote next week. However, 4 conservative senators such as Rand Paul and Ted Cruz are already opposing the measure. Cruz tells CNN the draft does not do enough to lower premiums. Sears is closing 20 more stores in the U.S. That's on top of the 245 already slated to close this year. Sears Canada is also struggling and has filed for bankruptcy protection along with closing several locations. Sears Canada was detached from Sears USA in 2012. Tesla confirms it's exploring the possibility of opening up a factory in Shanghai. The electric car company has generated more than $1 billion in revenue selling cars in China.
And Katlyn Boyer spoke to some locals at Walmart this morning to ask the question of the day.
Our excessive heat warning has been extended once again, so we came to Walmart to ask our question of the day. How are you handling the heat?
Staying in my office, in my car, and in my house.
I'm handling the heat because I stay in the house, but 5 days a week I go to the gym for an hour every morning.
At home with a cold beer.
It is pretty hot. We've been here since August, and it's actually nicer than Illinois because of the dry heat, but I'm not used to being over 115 and everything, so it is, hard to get used to, but I think we could do it.
I'm staying in the house more, and it's too hot too fast.
Tarantino's is putting the pizzas on top of the car and sending them out. By the time they get to the house, they're cooked. We don't even have to cook them.
I'm handling it great, mainly because I work on a graveyard shift. Yeah, so I'm hardly out in the daytime.
Well, the day before yesterday, I climbed on top of the house before it started getting hot, and then I put lawn sprinklers all over the top of the house and turned them on so that it'll help cool the inside of the house. And the temperature went down by 15 degrees.
As temperatures are supposed to stay in the hundreds throughout the week, please make sure that if you're outside, you have plenty of sunblock and you're drinking plenty of water. And if you have outside animals, make sure that they have shade and that you have plenty of drinking water for them as well. We'd like to give a big thank you to Walmart and General Manager Alan Rogers. That's your question of the day, and I'm Caitlin Boyer for News 46.
Thanks, Caitlin. We have a part 2 after this break from yesterday's newscast.